And welcome back, my friend. So, it is time for our first divine of this divine fest, and it is actually for CHANG'E, CHANG'E, whatever you want to call her, but CHANG'E is not the only dragon I've collected over the last few days. Yes, I went missing, but we've collected a few things. We've gotten a few things from our milestone reward shrine, and, we've been continuing on with event progress. So there's been lots of DML stuff happening, and we do also have freyr and frigg now available to obtain in-game. But of course, CHANG'E being a divine is going to take over 3 days, nearly 4 days to hatch. But CHANG'E is not the only new dragon that I have obtained in the last week. I also got my hands, of course, on Porcelain, which was the level 6 castle reward event dragon. Porcelain's a beautiful little boy, and he was also required as part of the Copper Dragon collection, which was the main reason for getting him. So I got him, and of course, that also means that we got our hands on Copper as well. But this was us hatching him, and of course, he's also part of Freyr Rising, so he's a 2-part collection dragon, I guess you could say. And that also gives us his completion for Copper. And there we go, dragon number 4. You have successfully finished the divine metal and earned a reward. You got the copper dragon. The copper is another 3-element energy, earth and water. Sorry, I should say. But another dragon to add to the collection means more DCP and a happy me. But the porcelain dragon is exquisitely beautiful and hard to the touch, but cracks rather easily. It's better to look rather than touch this creature, unless it asks for pets specifically. So yes, do not pet the porcelain too hard, otherwise he may actually die. And that would not be very nice, would it? Not for him. Definitely not. And I'm sure that it would make you feel kind of guilty about it as well. It's like, haha, you have just accidentally cracked my entire body in half. Not very cool. So yeah, I kind of like his baby form. He's got a big schnosy, but of course we will be leveling him up and leaving him in his adult form because, adult form porcelain is also pretty regal. The question is, what's the next divine that we're going to take on? Will it be longwang? Will it be freyr? Or will it be, freyr? Or will it be frigg? A lot of options. We're part of the way through with frigg, but obviously we need longwang and freyr for the collection. So, lots of collecting to do. Isn't that right, Mr. Porcelain? And so, like I said, we've got Copper, and we've also got another new dragon, but, more dragons. That's what I like. It seems that a lot of things happened while I was sort of dead. So, I'm still sort of dead now, but, might as well take the chance to hatch some dragons while we're here. Lovely. But yes, so we do have Copper as well now. So it said the first copper dragon egg was found in a mine shaft. These dragons help humans search for their namesake, or so long as they don't, or as long as they get treat for their hard work when all's said and done. Never work for free. I guess that's the thing to take away from today. Do not work for free. Don't be a slave. Only work if you're getting paid back in some form. And even the copper dragon is capable. So if a dragon is capable of fighting for fair wages, so are you. Yes, that is my piece of advice for today. Jeez, he has a large tail. Like, what's in there? Another dragon? You got some baby dragons stuck in there? Jeez, dude. That's a big ass tail. But anyway, copper, another epic, more DCP for me. Again, I love it. The other new dragon, of course, that we have is Mr. Leopard-Print, also known as Mr. Hairspike, or that's what he was known as at one point, who was the sigil map reward dragon. Because, sigil map's super easy, but I actually had a little bit of a plan this month for how to win the sigil contest. We'll see if it happens, though. But Leopard-Print dragons, while marked similarly to leopard dragons, are not related, and are more concerned with looking extremely cool and being fashionable than climbing mountains and so on. So yes, Mr. Leopard-Print here is, of course, the sigil map reward dragon for the previous map. But, I wish they'd have kept his old name because the hair is the thing that I think of him for. I don't think of him because he's got some leopard prints on his back. I think of him because of his crazy anime boy hairstyle. Like, is it just me? It can't be just me. Look at him. You really gonna look at the patterns and not the hair? Maybe it's just me. But either way, there's another new dragon for us. Very big head. Very big head boy as well. Very large. Very large. But coming back to current time DML, you know, you can see CHANG'E in the hatchery. We've also got River in there because, of course, now we do have the Divine Sight collection. And I have hatched the other two, the Rare and the Epic. And now we need to get River, which is also in the hatchery. And we also need to hatch Fjord, who is going to be available in Chapter 2's Castle event. So we've got an Oracle to collect as well, just like we did with Copper. We do also have Sail Whale, which I did mention a little bit about before, but little Sail Whale is Walmart's hot sister, like I've said, except the deals inside aren't too hot, because basically these are premium offers, and Sail Whale is made as a premium feature only, from what I have seen on the forums said by Adam, that these deals are either going to be gems or money only, from what I can gather. And it looks like, if you remember the Soft Dragon and a couple of other events where they gave you the opportunity to buy them in the shop, that's essentially what the Sail Whale is. So, like, you can get some pieces of fairy for 150 gems. They're expensive. But if you did want to get them for the collection, at least you can buy them. We'd also have Boss Challenge, and the Boss Challenge will give tickets, except the main lot of tickets will be at the end of round 3. And of course you've also got Brunhilde that you can earn. Big booby Brunhilde, but more like pointy boober Brunhilde. But anyway, yes, you can get her for beating 4 rounds. I'm probably not going to grind that, because the most important thing about this week is of course going to be grinding in the dungeon. Because like every week, now every single week is dungeon grind week. And if you're not grinding in the dungeon, what are you doing with your life? Because, you know, this is the reason why I have enough talismans for Chang. I've got enough talismans for Longwang. And I may also have enough talismans for freyr and frigg by the end of the event. Because my ultimate goal, really, if I grind hard enough, is for the Bone Dragon, who is of course part of the milestones for buying the Talisman Shrine. That is the ultimate goal if we can make it happen. Which means every single week you gotta be grinding out the dungeon, whether you like it or not. It does also mean that if you have a team like myself, which just does happen to be made specifically for dungeon, you know, for staying alive or scoring a lot of KOs, you will be getting more rewards out of this event. But don't let that stop you, because at the same time, the whole point of grinding the dungeon is to get the reward dragons, which I know it sucks if you don't already have a divine or already a water divine specifically, because there are a lot of water divines in this event. But give it your best shot. Even if you don't have a fantastic team for it, you might want to take up a water dragon for a very limited time, because normally if you don't have a divine with Bless, I normally wouldn't suggest using them on your team. But for the sake of grinding, just for these 4 weeks of the event, you know, it's not actually a bad idea. Now, at the same time, don't get too upset if you don't manage to get tons of stuff out of the event, because, you know, all of us have had a time where we've been building a team or doing something in DML, and no matter what you choose in DML, you're going to be penalized for it. For instance, if you try and prioritize super fast map progress, then you're going to end up with less dragons to use with unique elements during events. If you make the very silly decision of trying to level up 10 dragons at once, you're going to just never progress in general. So it's about getting a balance between the two. But at the same time, in the past, I used to be able to beat castle events with just one main dragon, being my autumn dragon, and I did have some problems, But for the most part, it was still doable. The only difference is that obviously now we've got the dungeon that's getting incorporated with a lot more things, which means that just one single dragon isn't always going to help. But, you know, considering that the dream combo for map progression is one divine and one ancient, and honestly, it doesn't even really matter which divine and ancient it is. Although, if you do get, say, 2 exception divine ancients, like, I don't know, Frosk and, I don't know, Bahajir, just as an example, then obviously you'd be pretty good. But you don't need them. You don't need those crazy high stat exception divine ancients to clear the map. All that you really need is one divine and one ancient. So a lot of people that don't have any divines yet have been like, oh, which one do I choose? Which one do I choose? Can you choose for me? No, I'm not going to choose for you. But if you are trying to decide what one you're going to pick, remember the true golden rules, which are essentially you need a divine, you need an ancient. That's the best for map progress. But if you also want to make sure you've got a good team for the dungeon, then you're also going to need a healer, you're going to need a shielder, and you're going to need an AoE dragon. And AoE means, you know, area of effect for anyone that's not familiar. But area of effect includes fire, light, and energy. But energy is kind of, it's kind of the least consistent because it sometimes only hits 2 dragons. Ikez is pretty good because he's got a single target plus the super widespread fire and energy. But a lot of people prefer light because light is obviously better against ancients because they don't resist fire. I mean, they don't resist like they do with fire, but, you know, you gotta factor that into your divine choice. It's like we've got longwang, which he's got wind and he's got water, so he's a very defensive sort of dragon. Then we've got freyr, who's got the AoE, but he's also got water, so he's sort of a mixed dragon, which I don't always like. But if the main goal is to just get water to be on your team, he's not necessarily a bad pick. It completely depends on what your full dungeon squad is going to be as to which one's going to be the best dragon. And don't mind what I'm doing. I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing in the dungeon at the moment. But, you know, like my team here, it works. But at the same time, the fact that I've got 2 relatively defensive divines sometimes does end up coming to bite me in the ass. Because the only real offensive side that I get out of Erlang Shen is when we use our metal. But I can't really use metal when we're getting bombarded with plant, like right now. Because if I'd have used my metal and then I had to heal, then we wouldn't have had shield and we probably would have gotten defeated next turn. So that's one of the struggles with this particular team comp. I do of course have other divines as well that I could try and chop and change in, but sometimes you have to make some, you know, tough decisions with what you're gonna do, what you're gonna put on your team. Should we just, you know, I don't care about continuing this run, should I just YOLO it? Let's just YOLO it, I don't care. Normally, if I was trying to be super careful, I wouldn't YOLO it. But we're here, and, you know, I've got a few KOs. I'm not going to be super pedantic. I'm going to shield up, and then if they use plant on Erlang Shen, our run would have ended there. But they didn't, which means we're going to survive to another day. Lovely, lovely. See, sometimes the dungeon's nice. Other times, the dungeon's going to suck. It's going to suck big time. But, you know, this is just an example of every turn I go to use metal, we will take a lot of damage. You know, the higher the KO count of our team, the better off we're going to be, of course. But until you get to those super high KO counts, sometimes, depending on your decisions, you might just get destroyed and decimated by the enemies anyway. So, all of those things taken into account, Hermes is going to die, who cares? But all of those things taken into account, you should use them to try and build a dungeon team that works for you. Again, whatever I've picked isn't necessarily the best option. The only reason I really picked Shen is because he had the remaining elements that I didn't yet have on my team. And at the same time, you know, I didn't have metal, and metal is kind of good at times. You know, it can really decimate enemies. But it's just another one of those things where no matter how good your team is, unless you have the super exception divines, it's not going to be perfect anyway. And even then, it depends on what sigils you've got on, and then what rarity of sigils you've got on, because, damn it, I just used healing on the wrong dragon. Damn you, game, for having Shen's head right next to Apollo. Damn it. But, yeah, I just want to make sure that any of you newer players aren't too intimidated by the dungeon. So you can see me screw up, it doesn't matter. You know, you're going to be playing the dungeon 50, 100, 5,000 times. You know, how many times you actually decide to do it. But it's just about getting more and more KOs for every round. So don't get too panicked over it. At least try and get one divine, and that will make your team infinitely better. Even just one divine will seriously have such a major... It will make such a major difference to your team. So that is why I highly suggest that you get one. And don't worry too much about which one it actually is. But it looks like we're going to die in a second. But we can take him out with a couple of, you know, mighty, meaty metal repulsions on the opposition here, which is the joy of having metal in your team. Come on, can you just kill me already? We're nearly there. Come on, end me. End me! They just keep missing. There we go. Bye-bye, Shen. But yes, if I was super try-harding this, I would obviously not be messing around as much. I'd be focusing on the tasks, but you know, even then, we get to open the purple chest. So we open the purple chest, what do we get? Times 15, that's okay. I'll take 15 divine tickets. And of course with these, same as chapter 1, we open up divine chests and hope that we get holy talismans. So what the heck, let's go and open another 10. Just while we're here. Just to show you what's in them, you know, same rewards. That we did get a longwang statue, and we did get times 10. Not bad. But yes, longwang statue, very cool. I'll take a longwang statue any day. So yes, good luck with all of your collecting. Again, I've got 1,600 talismans at the moment, but ideally, at the very minimum, I need longwang and freyr. So I've got enough for one of them. The question is, which one am I going to buy now? And which one will I buy soon? Because we need 2,400 currency all up for these two. CHANG'E was super cheap, and then frigg's going to be another 810. And if we get all of those, then we will be able to get bone from the milestone rewards here. Lots of dungeon grinding to do. But, you know, I guess it's worth it if we get lots of divines. So, best of luck to you. I hope you get good talisman luck. I hope that you get lots of dragons hatched, and you know, I hope that you get lots of times 18s in your dungeon chests. But make sure you're doing at least some of the rounds in boss challenge, because I believe round 3 does give, what is it, 40? So at the very minimum, complete round 3, and then you'll get a decent chunk of tickets. Yes, I'm still on round 1, don't say anything. But anyway, for now, good luck, and I do hope to see you soon.